If there's one thing I've learned over the years, it's that the smallest cracks, the ones people brush off as nothing, are often what eventually shatter a relationship. There's a topic most men don't openly discuss: territoriality. If a man dares to express discomfort over another man getting too close to his wife, he's immediately labeled insecure. That word gets thrown around so much that men have been conditioned to bottle up their feelings, to pretend things don't bother them when, in reality, they do. But here's the truth. Most men are territorial, not in the primitive, possessive sense, but in a way that demands respect. If I committed to you, if I've chosen to build my life with you, then I expect the same loyalty and respect in return. I've been married to Deborah for many years. Like any couple, we had our ups and downs, but I never had a reason to doubt her loyalty. At least, not until one evening when something shifted. She was sitting beside me, casually texting someone. Nothing unusual, until my eyes caught the name on her screen. It was a name I hadn't heard in years, but one I hadn't forgotten. A man she once admitted to having a huge crush on before we started dating. I remembered the way she had laughed back then, brushing it off as harmless. Oh, I used to have the biggest crush on him, but that was a long time ago. It hadn't meant much to me then. After all, everyone has past crushes. But now? Now that same man was back in her life, and she was texting him. I could have asked her about it right then and there, but I hesitated. She wasn't hiding her phone. She wasn't acting guilty. If I confronted her, what would I even say? That I saw a name on her screen and suddenly felt uneasy? That didn't feel like enough. If I brought it up without anything solid, she might laugh it off, call me paranoid, or worse, get defensive. The last thing I wanted was to start an argument over nothing. So I stayed quiet. But my mind didn't. What if this led to something more? What if I ignored it now and later regretted it? I didn't have the answer then. But looking back, I should have trusted that feeling in my gut. When we started trying for a baby, everything slowly changed. At first, we were hopeful. But then came the first miscarriage. I was devastated. But Deborah, she was broken. She cried for days, barely speaking. I tried to comfort her, held her at night, whispered reassurances that we'd try again. But she barely responded. And when she finally carried a pregnancy to Tam, we thought our nightmare was over. We were wrong. The baby was stillborn. That day at the hospital, I watched something die inside her. The light in her eyes went out. I was grieving too, but for Deborah, it was different. At first, I thought she just needed time. But as the weeks passed, her sadness turned into something else. She became distant. Conversations that used to flow easily now felt forced. She gave short, clipped responses, avoided eye contact, spent more time locked away in the bedroom. Then she started snapping at me over the smallest things that never used to matter. It felt like she was blaming me, even though she never said it outright. Still, I kept trying. I told myself she was hurting, that this was temporary. Then she made new friends. One had never been married. The other was divorced. And suddenly, they became her entire world. She started spending more time with them than she did with me. Going out more. Staying out later. At first, I didn't say anything. I didn't want to be the controlling husband who told his wife she couldn't have friends. So I let it slide. Later, I realized she wasn't just hanging out. She was partying, clubbing, coming home at odd hours. I tried to be understanding. If this was what she needed to feel happy again, then maybe I should support it. But the more it happened, the more uneasy I felt. One night, as she stood in front of the mirror fixing her hair, I watched her. She looked different, like the woman I fell in love with, yet somehow not at all. I finally spoke up. Deborah, this isn't right. This kind of behavior, it's not fitting for a married woman. She turned to me, eyes wide, as if I had just said the most ridiculous thing she'd ever heard. Then she laughed. You can't stop me from having fun. She grabbed her purse, and just like that, she walked out the door. I stayed up waiting. Hours passed, but she never came home, not until the morning sun bled through the curtains. No apologies, no explanations, just a casual return, as if nothing had happened. Then, one evening, Deborah approached me, her eyes alight with an unusual excitement. We got invited to a wedding, she announced. It was from a mutual friend, someone we both knew but weren't particularly close to. The wedding was happening across the state, meaning flights, packing, an entire weekend away from home. It all felt like too much hassle for an event I wasn't even interested in. Without much thought, I dismissed the idea. We're not going. But she didn't let it go. She was far too excited about this wedding, as if it was something more than just another celebration. The way she talked about it, you'd think it was her own sibling getting married. She started listing reasons why we needed to be there. "It'll be a great getaway," she said, her voice laced with an eagerness that felt out of place. It was almost like she was trying to sell me a vacation rather than a wedding. Then she softened, adding, "It'll help us reconnect. A new environment could be good for us." She spoke about how we hadn't spent quality time together outside the house in a while. Then came another angle. We rarely attend events together anymore. She made it sound as if we had abandoned our social life as a couple, but none of it convinced me. Weddings weren't my thing. The idea of sitting through a long ceremony, pretending to care about people I barely spoke to, didn't appeal to me in the slightest. And the truth was, things between us weren't good. Ever since we lost a baby, there had been this unspoken tension, a quiet yet suffocating distance. A wedding wouldn't change that. If anything, it would just be another opportunity to pretend we were fine when we weren't. When I refused again, her demeanor shifted. "Fine," she said with a casual shrug, her voice laced with something I couldn't quite place. "Can I just go alone, then?" That caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting her to push for a solo trip. "No," I said firmly. She wasn't happy, but she didn't argue. At least, not outright. Instead, she let it go, or so I thought. Over the next few days, she found ways to bring it up in passing, dropping little remarks about how fun it would be, how all our old friends would be there, how nice it would be to get away from everything for a little while. Slowly, her words started to take root. What if she was right? What if this was what we needed? A reset, a chance to feel like a team again. Eventually, I gave in. Looking back, if I knew then what I know now, I would have stood my ground. The flight was quiet. Deborah was on her phone for most of it, while I kept myself lost in thought. The wedding itself was fine. Small talk, familiar faces, going through the motions. Then, something shifted. I noticed him, the man from her past, the one she had once admitted to having a massive crush on. Suddenly, everything made sense. Her insistence on coming, the excitement, the way she had framed it as something so important. It was never about the wedding. It was about him. I tried to stay composed, brushing off the unease creeping up my spine. But then she started bringing him up in conversation. Casually. Too casually. I didn't respond. I didn't want to feed into whatever this was. Then came the after-party. At one point, she excused herself to go to the restroom. I barely thought anything of it, until the music changed, and guests were invited to join the couple on the dance floor. That's when I saw her. She wasn't at the table. She wasn't in the hallway. She was on the dance floor. With him. I watched them move together, the way they leaned in just a little too closely, the way she laughed, her face glowing in a way I hadn't seen in a long time. It wasn't a friendly dance. It wasn't innocent. It was the kind of interaction that made people assume they were the couple. Something inside me snapped. I got up, walked across the room, and pulled her aside. She looked at me, not guilty, not flustered, not even surprised. Instead, there was annoyance in her eyes, like I was a problem. "Let me be," she said, her tone dismissive, as if I was scolding a child. "I'm not your child." Then she turned her back to me, walked right back onto the dance floor, right back to him. I stood there, humiliated. Every moment of disrespect I had swallowed over the past year replayed in my mind. The passive-aggressive remarks, the coldness, the late nights, the growing distance. I was done. I walked out of that venue, stepping into the cool night air. The hotel wasn't far, but the walk felt endless. My heart pounded, not from anger, not from sadness, but from clarity. By the time I reached the hotel room, I knew exactly what I had to do. I grabbed my phone, pulled up the airline app, and booked the earliest possible flight home. I wasn't going to sit through another fake conversation, another empty excuse, another night of pretending this marriage still meant something. I packed my bag, checked out of the hotel, and headed straight to the airport. It wasn't until I was standing in line to board my flight that my phone started ringing. Deborah, I let it ring. Then again, and again. She kept calling, but I never picked up. By the time I landed and turned my phone back on, there were dozens of messages. At first, I thought maybe, just maybe, she had realized what she had done, that she was apologizing. But as I scrolled through, I saw exactly what I should have expected all along. She wasn't sorry, not even close. Instead of remorse, my screen filled with venom. Wow, you're really this weak. You're such a crybaby. You always take things too seriously. You're so insecure it's actually pathetic. You're soft, Andrew, too soft. No real man would act like this. Reading those words shattered something inside me. Not because they hurt. No, I was past that. But because they made things crystal clear. I had spent so much time second-guessing myself, questioning whether I was overreacting, whether I was being too sensitive. But in that moment, there was no doubt left. This wasn't love. And I refused to be the man who tolerated this kind of disrespect any longer. I took a deep breath, steadied my hands, and typed out one final message. Enjoy your life. Our marriage is over. That was it. By the time Deborah returned home, I was already gone. I had packed my things, moved out, and left nothing behind except the reality she had created for herself. And for the first time in a long, long time, I felt free. At first, she didn't seem to care. If anything, she doubled down. The messages she sent after realizing I was gone were even more cruel, filled with laughter and mockery. She found it amusing that I had left the wedding early, that I had flown home alone. To her, I was overreacting, throwing a tantrum like a child. In her mind, I was a problem. I was insecure. I was controlling. I was ruining our marriage, not her actions, not her choices. And for a while, I just let her talk. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I had already made my decision. A few days later, my lawyer served for the divorce papers. That was the moment everything changed. The insult stopped. The arrogance disappeared. The same woman who had laughed at me for leaving, who had mocked me for walking away, suddenly needed to talk. My phone, once filled with her taunts, was now flooded with messages like, "Please, can we talk?" I didn't mean those things. At first, I ignored them. For too long, I had been the one fighting for this marriage while she dismissed my feelings. Now that I had finally drawn a line, I wasn't about to let sweet words erase everything. But she didn't stop. The calls kept coming, over and over again. Then came the voice notes. And this time, her voice was different. Gone was the mockery, the bravado. She sounded shaken, as if, for the first time, she was realizing I wasn't playing games. "I've been acting tough because I didn't want to seem weak," she admitted in one message. "But the truth is, I don't want to lose you." She confessed that she had let things spiral out of control, that she had been reckless, thoughtless, that she had pushed me away without realizing how much damage she was doing. She said she finally understood, that she was ready to fix things. And now, I was at a crossroads. Divorce isn't just about signing papers. It's a process, an emotional one, because despite everything, this was still the woman I had built a life with. But could I ever trust her again? Could I believe that she had truly changed? Or was this just desperation talking? That's the question I keep asking myself. A marriage can't survive without respect. And looking back, I can't ignore how many times she dismissed my feelings. When I first saw her texting the man she used to have a crush on, I said nothing. I didn't want to seem controlling or insecure. When she started going out more, surrounding herself with single friends who encouraged reckless behavior, I swallowed my unease and tried to be patient. But when she danced with him at that wedding, when she looked at me like I was nothing, I finally hit my limit. Walking away felt like the only choice I had left. But now she's begging me to reconsider. Now she wants to fix things. But if I take her back, what does that say? That she can disrespect me, our marriage, and our vows as much as she wants, and I'll still be there waiting to forgive her? Or is there actually a chance she realizes how far she went and truly wants to change? Because if she does regret it, if she really understands the damage she's done, then maybe, just maybe, there's a way forward. But how do I know she won't slip back into old habits the moment she feels comfortable again? That's what I can't figure out. So now, over to you. What do you think? Should I go through with a divorce and walk away, knowing that she may have already crossed a line with her so-called crush? Or should I give her a chance? Sit down, lay everything out, and make it clear that her actions are consequences, hoping that, this time, she truly understands. I've been going back and forth on this, and honestly, I need some different perspectives. Let me know what you think.